Hey Phil, how you doing? Welcome back to the SEO Testing podcast.
Thank you very much. It's been an eventful few months, really eventful.
It's been an eventful few minutes trying to get this all working, never mind a few months.
It's been a pain, but it'll all go smoothly here on in.
This is a Windows Mac debate, right? So Windows, everything's been working fine. Mac,
Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna blame the podcasting bit.
well, luckily we're going to buy a Windows machine soon anyway, so you won't have any excuses.
That's good.
Yeah, so it's been a while since we did a podcast. I re-listened to our last episode just now, and I did say that I was going to be doing some interviews of SEO people
Oh,
in
while I was
between
away.
while you were busy, but I have been busy as well, which we will come on to, and so time has been tight. So we decided just to pause the podcast while we got everything in order.
Yeah,
Yeah, so Phil, share your news. Tell us what's been going on.
yeah. I've become a dad again for the second time, so it's
Woo!
we great news. So yeah, baby Ivo. Everyone asks about the name, just IVO. I think it's a an English comedian is where I heard it from.
Right.
Um, but it's similar to you. My Ellie's a teacher, so many kids' names. They're like, no, can't have that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think 4 months old now. He's doing really well, and his big brother absolutely adores him. So
Yeah.
it's been going good. Ellie's doing all the feeding and the waking up, so I'm getting sleep. Yeah, so he's doing tremendously well. So it's all
Good.
good.
And how is he sleeping, the baby?
Yeah, crazy. For the last couple of weeks, he's been going to bed about half eight, 9 o'clock, and waking up between 4 and 6 in the morning. So
Hmm.
it's quite good.
They count that as
Uh,
like a full night's sleep, don't they? Anything over like 5 hours counts as a full night's sleep, but I'm not sure
yeah,
that qualifies.
no, but then he'll do the occasional waking up at kind of half 12 or 1 o'clock, and yeah, Ellie's shattered for the next day. But yeah,
Yeah.
he's such a happy baby. It's awesome.
Ah, that's nice. Good. And Ted's enjoying being a big brother.
Yeah,
Ted?
he loves
Fred.
it.
Ted,
Fred,
Ted,
yeah,
your
yeah,
brother.
Fred, yeah, no, he absolutely loves it. So yeah, no, what have you been up to?
Well, working away. Yeah, we haven't finished with you yet. You've got your stuff to
Oh
go
yeah,
through. Easy tiger.
yeah,
So
yeah,
after Ivo was born, was it 2 weeks later? You
yeah,
you jumped on a plane somewhere.
yeah. So it'd been booked for kind of 2 years, a trip to Nepal for a charity called Dorothy House. So my late wife was supported by them, and yeah, tremendous charity based near where I am, near Bath. And yeah, we went to do a trek in Nepal around the Himalayas. So did around Annapurna. It was amazing. So there was kind of eight of us that went over there. We did 2 days painting a hospice, which
Hmm.
was quite an insight, seeing kind of what their care's like over there. But yeah, Kathmandu is the best, craziest place. I kind of fell in love with Kathmandu. And then, yeah, a precarious drive all the way over to Pokhara and then some walking. I hadn't done much training, but I didn't do too bad. There was lots of steps, lots of walking uphill, but just the views are stunning, absolutely stunning. So we kind of did 5 days or 5.5 days trekking, a few days traveling, and yeah, the food, the people, absolutely amazing. So yeah, quite an experience. And then our kind of climax of it was going up Poon Hill. It was a 3 o'clock in the morning start, but it was yeah, absolutely stunning. So
Mm,
yeah, very proud of myself for that. And I think as a team we raised something like £20,000 for the hospice. So
that's great. Well done.
yeah, very chuffed with that. And my I've not done any steps since.
So even though you said you didn't do much training, you were they said you're a bit of a natural, didn't they?
Yeah, I was quite pleased. One of the Sherpas, because I've, and it's that whole thing where when you're walking, the people at the front get the longest wait because kind of wait for the slow people to catch up. They have a small break. So I was yeah up near the Sherpas at the front, so I quite enjoyed that. Yeah, he said I was a natural, so I'm quite happy with that. But my knees don't like steps, and there were a lot of steps. And
Were
the
they sore
first day,
afterwards?
not too bad. So using walking poles made a massive difference.
Yeah.
So I'd only used them once before on a little trip around Wales, but they just take the pressure off your knees. Uh, so yeah, awesome.
So you're not carried on hiking since you got back then?
Crumbs. I've been put back to dad duty. Yeah, and I've been strictly told the next holiday's got to be a family one. I can't go off on any adventures myself. But it
Mm.
was crazy because all of the tea houses we stayed in all had Wi-Fi. So most nights I kind of phone home, talk to Fred and Ivo, and check in. A part of me was really looking forward to cutting off from the world and
Mm.
going, yep, everyone go away. This is just an adventure, but it was nice to be able to talk and do videos and stuff. So yeah, and especially show Fred, who's 6, about adventures and stuff like that. So he's more inspired now, which is awesome.
It was funny because I thought, yeah, you were just going to disappear off the radar for 10 days or so. But kept seeing you update your Facebook posts with new photos and stuff every day. So I thought I must be getting decent
Getting a
Wi-Fi
good
signal
signal.
or something, or yeah, phone signal
Yeah.
as you
It
go
was that thing. As
away.
soon as we stopped for like a lunch or evening meal, somebody would ask for the Wi-Fi code, and then everyone would have their heads down, like this stunning view outside. You go, oh, yeah. I was trying to be the last person to get my phone out.
Yeah, cool. I'm glad it went well. And yeah, how did Ellie cope with you disappearing after 2 weeks and with the newborn baby and so on, and folks to
Yeah,
look
she
after?
did. Yeah, she had family around looking after,
Ah,
well,
okay.
helping. I think she found it more of a struggle of me coming back, wanting to help out. So she's like trying to find my place again in the
She
way
got
things
into a nice
ran.
routine, and you rock up again and disrupt it all.
Yeah, and want to take the baby off her and see my own child. So she's like, who's this fella again?
Oh,
And
that's
then,
funny.
yeah, then we were back for a week, and then we were down in London, weren't we?
We were, yeah. So yeah, I forgot all about you. Went one straight again from one thing to the other. So yeah, so we got into the TinySeed. I don't know how to say incubator. How do they explain it on their website? So have a look. Oh, I've unplugged my mouse. Let's try and use my mouse. TinySeed.
Is it seed funding or something like
Seed
that?
funding, yeah. It's funny, yeah, TinySeed. Accelerator for ambitious SaaS startups. So it started by Rob Walling and Einar Volset a couple of years ago, a few years ago. And they're looking at investing in small SaaS bootstrap companies that are kind of looking to run for the long term, rather than try and build something and kind of go for the moonshot or whatever, like Facebook or stuff like that. Just sensible businesses that were going to generate a profit, run in a sensible way with people that have families and things like that,
Yeah.
which we kind of fit the bill for nicely, I guess. So they'd only invested in US companies before, but Rob had always said on the podcast Startup for the Rest of Us, the form to do the kind of application thing is quite a good practice to go through it anyway, because you have to enter your numbers, kind of do a little like that. You can do a presentation and upload that as a video, elevator pitch, all those kind of things. And so each year I did it anyway, knowing full well that they wouldn't invest or unlikely to invest in a UK company. But then I did it again last summer, and they came back this time and they said, I would be interested in having a conversation with you. And because I kind of assumed that they wouldn't be interested in taking like just the application form any further, I'd not really put any thought into whether to actually go for it or not. It was just like a practice thing of like, these are the numbers, this is how we're thinking of things, this is where we're going type exercise. And so I had an initial conversation with Tracy, the program manager, and said, let's have a conversation. Rob and I would like to have a chat with you. And it got to the point where they're like, well, we'd like to make an offer, but you'd have to make a decision. You can become a US entity and come in through one of our US batches, which would have been autumn last year, or convert to a US entity and do it there, then and there. Or they were releasing or launching a European fund, but that would be likely to start of 2022. So you can wait for that if you wanted to. And I thought about it a little bit and had a chat with a few people, and it would probably take just as long to convert properly to a US entity as it would to wait for the European fund thing to happen. And so yeah, I decided to wait. It kind of went on and on and on. They opened the batch, funnily enough, for the European fund. They opened the applications for the European fund, and I didn't apply again because I thought, well, I've already applied, and I was just kind of waiting to hear from them, and I wasn't sure whether I was supposed to apply again or not or whatever. And yeah, they got in contact. And they said, "Oh, you're still interested?" I was like, "Oh yeah, I was waiting to hear from you, see what's going on." Yeah. So yeah, I think they made the offer maybe in February. Which when was Ivo due? So it's just kind of
Yeah, very beginning
starting.
of February. Yeah, 5th of February he was born. Yeah.
So we then there was a long process of going through contracts and all that kind of stuff. And so this is the whole reason why I kind of like put the podcast to the side as well and didn't look at doing the interviews, because although it's quite template based and they say the contract's going to be the same for everybody, you still need to get it properly reviewed by business solicitors and and so on and so forth, and went back and forth. There were a few changes because a lot of the contract they used was US based. So obviously UK is different and European law is different and so on. So there were some changes that we had to suggest and made. And then it was kind of announced at the end of April, I think, maybe the very start of May.
Yeah.
But then again, the contract still wasn't signed at that point, and they said that we'll probably announce it all before the contracts are signed.
It's one way to do it.
Yeah, and then like a week or two later, we got the final contracts back and signed it all and everything. So yeah, I kind of, although we could have talked about it when the announcement was made on Rob and on the TinySeed site and on YouTube, they did a live presentation and so on. I kind of feel that once the contracts were all signed, then we could talk about it a bit more. And so here we are.
It goes. No, it's amazing the kind of connections and mentoring and stuff that comes with it, which is, I know, the biggest part that you're looking forward to.
Yeah, so there's, like I said as well, I guess it wasn't until they actually made the offer and we had like a letter of intent through in February that I actually kind of thought about whether to go ahead with it. Because as I said, it was just an exercise, like an annual exercise of filling out the application form to kind of go through plans and stuff in my own head and our heads. And so it wasn't until the letter of intent came through that I thought we'd better actually think about this now. Sit down and have a chat about it with a few people and so on. So yeah, the money is one side of a thing. So they invest a bit of money for like a percentage of the company, which isn't a huge percent. I think the general terms are open, so they generally make an investment for between 10 and 12% of the business. So that's kind of how much we've given away. So the money is there, but we haven't got any particular plans on what we're going to spend it on. So for me, the things that I'm interested in are mostly the community and the mentorship side of things. So having moved from Reading down to Bude, we're kind of out here by ourselves. You're in a bit more of a built-up area, aren't you, Phil? With more networking.
Yeah, I can see other people. Yeah,
stuff like that. But there's not many people in Bude that I can talk SaaS and business issues through with. So kind of having a group of people spread around the world, but a whole bunch of founders that are building SaaS businesses and stuff that if you have problems, you can ask questions to. And the TinySeed mentors are there as subject matter experts to ask questions to as well. So that was kind of what I was looking for. And also the accountability as well. So I guess SEOTesting and Sanity Check before that started out as just me. When you came on board, Phill, we kind of made a decision to grow the business then in terms of headcount, if nothing else. So we kind of doubled in size. And as soon as it kind of got to that point, it was like, well, if we're going to kind of take people on or the team's going to grow, then, let's push ahead with the business and some accountability with, the plans that we put into place and stuff would be useful. Yeah. So there's the accountability side of it as well in terms of
it's really good. And we kind of already began to see, so we had some time down in London with the team, didn't we? And some of those beginning conversations are just, you can see how valuable it will be over the next year or so with them.
So a long way of getting around to your point was we were in London for the retreat, weren't we? Which is like the founder retreat, the kickoff program thing, where we all got together, all the different founders from across Europe, and yeah, it's good. Do you want to take us through what we did on kind of the mornings of each day?
So initially, what it was, I'm trying to remember how many people. It's about 8 people on this intake.
No, I was going to say about 15. I think it's more than that. Definitely maybe 12.
Yeah. Okay, but so it was nice. So what we did, we kind of went through, talked about business, what we do, who customers are, and then we each brought a challenge that we wanted to talk about. So it was really interesting hearing the common challenges that everybody had wanted to grow a business. It was amazing how many came back to SEO or content or something around that. But people just talked about it, and it's really nice to have this kind of big open discussion. Everyone's there to support themselves, share. There's nobody's kind of afraid to put something out there because they know that other people are either going through that or have gone through that. And like I said, pulling on kind of Rob's experience, every time you say something, go, oh, what do you think about this? And because of the work that he's done with TinySeed before, that he's seen ways that work, ways that don't, other way round, or understands the scale of where we are on the journey. So that's brilliant. So we did those for the couple of mornings of just going around the different founders and understanding what businesses were. yeah, we had some networking time as well, didn't we, Nick?
Yeah, yeah, it was good. And then on the Wednesday was MicroConf Local.
Yeah,
So that was, I think, about 80 people got together for a few presentations and some networking event and things like that. And the presentations were good. So Brennan Dunn was there talking about kind of email marketing. Um, Asia Oregano. I know her as Asia Matos because I spoke to her before she got married, but she's changed her surname now. She was talking about positioning and stuff like that, I think, wasn't it?
yeah,
From memory. And jobs to be done frameworks and things like that. And then Rob did a whole session on pricing and bits and pieces around that and churn and kind of
churn and stuff like that. Yeah,
metric numbers, which was good.
yeah. Definitely
Um,
a good conference to go to. Yeah, good insight, and I like what he did in terms of encouraging everyone there to kind of talk to each other, find out about people's business. It's a good way to make connections.
Yeah, so they did a speed kind of networking event thing, didn't they? Which I was like, oh no, this is like my worst nightmare. So I think you had, I can't remember how long it was. It was like 5 minutes to talk to someone and kind of ask each other questions about what they did. And they gave you some kind of example questions you could ask as well, so you weren't stuck there all by yourself. But that's probably oddly enough, that's the bit I probably enjoyed the most, I think, of the whole event, because I got to talk to about 10 different people maybe who I wouldn't normally have spoken to.
Yeah,
Um,
and it's nice that everyone was very genuine there. Because normally,
mm,
the kind of something like that, half the people are trying to just sell you their products. You go, actually, no,
yeah,
these were either normal people, bootstrappers with a business on a journey there to learn something. So that was really good.
yeah. But it was weird being in London again for me. I don't know how you felt being in a big built-up area with lots of people around and no one wearing masks.
No, it was yeah busy time, and yeah, just seeing everyone had gone back to normal, as it were.
My
Yeah,
computer's
it
just
was.
gone to sleep. That's crazy. Still working? No,
Need
still
a
working.
Mac.
That's all right. Um, yeah, it's the first time I've been back to London since COVID and lockdown happened. So it was a bit of a strange feeling for
Yeah,
me. But
trains and tubes and everything like that.
yeah, I kind of missed it for a few days after when I got back to Bude actually. Um,
Just-
it's like when you get back to Bude, it's like an odd feeling because you kind of you come over the brow of the hill and you can see Bude, the town laid out in front of you, and you can see the sea, and it's like almost like your body goes back a bit. But then like the
yeah,
next day when I was walking into the co-working space, I was like, I do actually miss the hustle and bustle of London a bit. And
it's that feeling when you're with people like that, and you're bouncing ideas off and you're sharing. Like I don't know how long you could maintain that for that kind of energy enthusiasm. It's kind of it's nice now that we've gone off into the different groups as well after that kind of initial discussions. But yeah, because I when I used to work at a law firm previously, I'd go to London and get the work, and I'd come back to Bristol and do the work. And it was nice to have that kind of yeah, go and have the hustle and bustle and come up with the ideas, generate stuff, but then the nice peaceful quiet to actually get stuff done.
yeah, yeah, cool.
We've been getting on with stuff, haven't we?
Yeah, so we're not actually going to talk about any SEO stuff today. It's more just about what we've been, the business, how it's been ticking along. So we're going to talk about product and more SEO stuff in the next coming episodes, which we'll try and stick to a 2-week cycle now. We're kind of done with babies and trips to Nepal and so on. So we've taken someone else on as well, haven't we? So we've grown to a team of 3 now because Tiago
Yeah,
has joined.
it's in content.
Yeah, so Tiago came around by accident, really. So someone I was following on Twitter tweeted out that he knew someone who worked in marketing, looking for kind of a content creation role. And so I reached out to them and got their contact details. And so yeah, Tiago, who's based in the Azores, which are some little islands in the Atlantic, part of Portugal. He's joined us to work on content for the SEOTesting blog and kind of knowledge base, which has been good. There's lots of learnings around that as well in terms of me still being a bottleneck for certain things. But yeah, we've been publishing more content than we would have done if it was just down to me, and we can see that in terms of traffic coming to the website and so on. So yeah, it's been good so far.
Yeah, no, it's been good, and we've obviously had to now. There's more of us working change, kind of how we're working together, which is working quite nicely. We're kind of putting a bit more structure with a lightweight daily stand up. So kind of what did yesterday, what we're doing today, any issues. So we're yeah, making use of Slack and kind of dropping in, and then kind of working more asynchronously.
Yeah, certainly, and also trying to keep the mornings quiet as well. So, um, like we had with this is in terms of making big changes, going from a company of just one person, where it's all just in one person's head, to growing. I'd say relatively quickly to a team of three. In terms of at the very start, yourself and Tiago were kind of would complete. It was very task based, where you do a task that would take a day or two, and then you kind of message me on Slack and say, "Oh, that's done. Do you want to test it now, or what content should I work on next?" And so, first of all, the interruptions will come at any time of the day, which isn't a good thing. And second, the interruptions for everybody kind of aren't a good thing. And so we've kind of tried to put a bit more planning in place, where from a development perspective, we try and plan out 6 weeks worth of work in one go, so that as you're doing most of the development now, you kind of have a plan of what you can work to over the next 6 weeks, so you know what to think about ahead of time and plan out
Yeah.
that kind of stuff, and you can go from one task to the other without necessarily having to, speak to me. And Tiago, we're trying to put more of a content plan in place, because it's definitely like very reactive in terms of it. Be like, oh, I've done this piece of content now, Nick. What do you want me to work on next? And so I kind of feel like I'd have to drop everything and try and figure out what you should be writing next. But then we've also tried to say no Slack messages before midday, so that we've all got some quiet time to be able to get on with work and what we want to get on with, which I think has worked quite well so far, because we're all kind of in the same time zone. I think there's only an hour or two difference at the very most, with us and Tiago. So we all get a quiet morning to get on with work, and then
Yeah.
a bit more back and forth after lunch.
It's working well. It's working well. I think tools like Slack certainly help us. Yeah, just dropping in a message, and there's a self-discipline of not having to jump straight on one when it comes through, because no, I've done it now. It's kind of schedule some for lunchtime. Go, right, I need to remember to message that, but you don't want 10 messages to come through bang on 12 o'clock. But yeah, it's certainly working well.
Yeah, it's all an experiment, isn't it? So we'll find like Slack is a great tool. Well, it's just a chat tool at the end of the day. Well, that's how we use it anyway, isn't it? But
Yeah,
obviously, any tool like that can become a like hamper progress and become more of a distraction than a usefulness. So it's about making sure the tools work for us.
yeah, definitely, definitely.
Cool. Anything else you can think of?
Don't think so. Don't think so. Like you said, we've been working on some features I'm looking forward to talking about in the next one.
Yeah, there's obviously lots to go through.
Kids are back at school, so it's
Yeah, we just finished half term, as in the UK. So yeah, kids went back to school on Monday.
the
From
Jubilee weekend.
So from a football point of view, I had to go through the niceness of Liverpool winning the Carabao Cup and the FA Cup, but then the pain of losing probably the two bigger ones in terms of the Premier League and the Champions League.
Yeah,
But can't win them all.
there's always next year.
There's always next year, indeed. Yeah. But there you go. Cool. All right. Well, let's wrap it up.
Cool, right. Thanks, everyone.
We will be back in a couple of weeks, and we'll talk more about the features we've been working on, why we've built them, and how we feel they can help you with your SEO and stuff. So yeah, awesome. Look forward to it.
Cheers.
Cheers. See you. Bye.